Welcome to Come and See, your podcast for finding truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. With host and founder Richard Case and co-host and retreat leader Kathy Ricconi. Today is our special guest day, where we will hear from a friend of the ministry who will share their insight and stories on truth in this chaotic world. And now your host, Richard Case.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is Guest Thursday, and we're in part 2 with Bob and Keri Rockwell from McKinney, Texas, where they're approaching...
Excited to have them back.
approaching, probably by now, 50 days over 100 degrees. And how do you, of course, you guys, didn't you do with your yard, you kind of like just got artificial grass and stuff, or...
Yeah, that was his idea.
Actually, the best part.
Did you really?
The best looking part of the yard is the artificial turf.
Yeah. Everything else is looking a little dry.
A little dry, yeah.
Yeah, because we're on water restriction as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it back to...
We're on water restriction up here too right now.
Is it back to drought stuff there?
It is, and it's either extreme or very extreme. So we're just extreme, whatever that means.
Yeah.
They just had, I saw a news thing that all the rivers in Texas are less than 10% normal flow.
Whoa.
Wow.
I know.
That's not good.
Yeah.
No.
So they're now trickles.
Man.
Yeah.
Weird stuff. When we we'll bring that information to our End Times Friday.
Right.
Texas is in trouble. So last time you shared kind of a history of this last 6 months where you've been through with your death of your son, the issue you've had with Keri, with your trying to get your adult aged parents in a place where they could make some good decisions, and again because of a great illustration of free will is that you can't force them.
No, you can't.
You may have God's wisdom even to offer them, but people have to receive it. And so we're going to keep praying for that things would still, God could make this work out. Thank you for your heart of wisdom, receiving, not letting it burden you. At the same time, you have a heart for them, and you want to help them and help your sister, and that was great to hear. And then the wedding of your son Chase.
Yes.
And
Super exciting.
They're excited, and that and again, as we got to be thinking about this as we look at our role in life, is that do you condone even choices they might make, or the fact that they don't follow God? Well, of course not. But you two are probably one of the few. And of course, Bob, you shared that there is other influences going on there, but you two are the only two that can actually share the love and the truth of Christ.
Right.
And that's why when Christ was with sinners, he didn't condemn them. He didn't agree with them, and he didn't say whatever you're doing is fine. A good example of that is the woman at the well, where he's going through this discussion, and she says, hey, I'd like to have this living water that you're talking about. And he says, well, go get your husband, and I'll give it to you. Well, I don't really have a husband. He says, yeah, you don't. You've had 5, and the one you're with isn't your husband either. And she says, I perceive you're a prophet. And changes the subject, And so Christ didn't hold back speaking truth, but at the same time, he didn't bring judgment, and kept relationship. Mm-hmm. So that the opportunity for people to receive truth could be received, and he did on both sides of it. He would speak truth, and people would walk away like the rich young ruler is that, well, I can't do what you're asking me to do. I'm out. Mm-hmm. Jesus didn't chase him down. Right. He said, well, if you want to go ahead and go. I'm offering you the truth. And by the way, if he ever came back, which I bet we'll find out in eternity, he did. I think he came back after the resurrection. And hey, I'd like to know more. I'd like to now know more about this, and I think we will. And this is I have no biblical basis of this at all. It's just I believe we're going to meet the rich young ruler in heaven, and it's going to be an interesting thing because of the relationship. So, we'll be praying for him and your time. I think you said he's coming for Christmas, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
coming
Chase
for-
and Lexi are coming in December sometime.
We're not sure when. They've got to wait to get their vacation schedule, but they're coming.
Oh, that's exciting.
Have they talked yet about children?
No, and we're trying
Yes
our best.
and no- yes and no.
Well, yes and no. We're trying our best not to say we're waiting for grandkids.
You're not showing them the stash you have in your closet
Yeah.
of baby
Get
clothes
going,
and toys.
get going.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, she has expressed to me that she does not. She probably won't. They probably won't have children of their own, but they're open to adopting. They say there's a lot of kids in this world that need a home, and they have a heart for that. So
No, I love that.
yeah, I'm okay
Yeah,
with that.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always when I hear that, it's always like, well, God may surprise you.
I know.
Yeah, she's only 30, right?
That's
So,
it. That's
Right,
it. Yeah.
right.
Well, that'll be exciting.
But
So
who knows? What a beautiful heart to give
Oh,
them for that too.
yeah.
Yeah, they're sweet
We
people.
just
They
love
really
them.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids and grandkids are nothing but spectacular. And by the way, Bob, we were down at Bob and Keri's and stayed with them, and we were out in their city, McKinney, and it's a beautiful, I guess you would call it just a typical, almost you would look at it, because I grew up in the Midwest, a very Midwestern feel with a center of the town, and the courthouse is there, and then everything's around it, and they got all these cool stores. Well, we walk into the sports store, and this guy had all this cool stuff. One of which was this rotating sign clock that was Baylor University.
Oh, that's right.
And we looked at that and said, "Man, look at that!" And Joshua, our grandson's going to Baylor. He's actually already gone to orientation.
Oh, really?
And I said, "Hey, let's get that." Well, we don't really have it yet. We got to take it. And then Bob says, "I'll go get it." And so you did, and kept it for us, and we gave it to him. And he was. You should have seen it, Bob, because we were there a couple days after we had given it to him, and he literally had plugged it in the center of his kitchen area, and we just loved watching that
That's
rotate. And he's
I'm sure Cheryl loved that. In her
oh
kitchen.
yeah, and he's gonna put that in his dorm room
That's great.
at Baylor.
cool.
So thank you for taking care of all that for us and getting it over to us.
No
So.
worries.
That's
So as you
fun.
now look at this season, one of the things that you live out is the covenant. God blesses you to make you a blessing, and so talk a little bit on both sides of that. In what areas have you been being blessed in, and then let's talk about your wonderful opportunities, both in work, Bob. I'd like to talk a little bit about that, and then in your ministry of retreats and the things you're doing at church. So. Maybe you could share a little bit about what's going on with you right now in your life.
Oh my gosh, we're living the abundant life.
Yeah.
I mean that's the simplest statement I can say. And you guys heard the last session is that doesn't mean that you're free of issues.
No.
Right.
But we have to pinch ourselves that we never would have. If you'd asked us 20 years ago, could we have the life we have now? No. Now, do we have everything we would like to have? No. But do we have far more than what we expected? Yeah, and you hit on a couple of them. So first off, I mean, just in no particular order, incredible favor with my work, incredible favor with our church. I mean, they look at us as, oh my gosh, God sent you to us.
Yeah.
And he really
And
did.
answered the
And actually,
prayer.
he really did
Yeah.
miraculously bring us to that church. Our relationship with Chase, the way our son was taken to heaven, the friends that God has put around us, just the incredible people that we have met, and just the freedom and the ability to just have fun together, and to we've had a little bit too much travel this year than we would have liked, but in general, just being able to go do things, and always with people. And it's just, I don't know how else to describe it. Pretty well every day, we just say, "Wow, Father, what have you got for your kids today?"
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
love
just
it.
joy. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just joy, because people will come to us and say, "Well, what's your biggest burdens?" Well, we really, God has the burdens, and we really can't say that we're burdened. We're we're pretty blessed.
I think we've learned how to stay in shalom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
No matter what's going on, we can just stay in shalom.
And
Now,
Keri helps with that because I can do about 5 times more than what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
And I'm like,
Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah, and Keri, when you say that, explain a little bit, at least what that means to you. Stay in shalom. What does that mean to you, to stay in shalom?
It's for me, it's God's rest. When you enter into His rest, it's no matter what's going on in my life, no matter if a circumstances come up and I go, oh shoot, well, what are we going to do with that?
Yeah.
But I don't say, and then I go straight to, I don't have to do anything, Lord. What are you going to do with that? And I let Him instruct us and guide us, and let Him take the burden of it, because I mean, nothing is impossible. He can resolve all your issues. He can change circumstances, and that's what I lean on. That's what I trust in.
Yeah. And I think part of this is just we get to see the miraculous a lot. The secular world calls it coincidences, and we just smile. And it's funny because it'll often just be ordinary, everyday instances like, well, that's cool. Well, that's cool. Not big, huge, earth-shattering stuff. It's like, wow, that's neat. And if that hadn't happened, then this wouldn't, and then this wouldn't. And it's just like you just go, wow, God, what else do you got?
Well,
and the more you see it, the more you see it, right?
Exactly.
Once your eyes are open to it, then you can't help but see everywhere how He is working and moving, and celebrate it with gratitude.
Yeah. And I think our life is to expect it. Our life is to expect that we're living an unnatural life. We're leading a supernatural life. And so it's like we come to expect it. So we don't have any fear.
Expect annoyances and irritations, because we're living in a world that's full of self-centered people, and people do stupid things, and sometimes we're caught up in that. Example, I love to tell this story because it shows how great our God is. Bob was having trouble with his Mac, his email. Tell that story.
Well, yeah, I think I already shared that probably in one of the first podcasts.
I don't remember this one.
Well, it was interesting. It was
during COVID.
It was during COVID, and I
think Bobby shared that in our leader group. I don't think he shared it on air. So
So this and I'll try to make this short because it was actually about a 5-day process. Yeah. But the long story is I needed some help with my Mac that was beyond my abilities, and so I contacted Apple. Well, long story short, Apple deleted every file, essentially erased my computer,
this whole business gone,
and did not back it up first. So I gave them control of it, and a junior person essentially obliterated my Mac, which is all of my intellectual property, everything. And the next 5 days was them trying to recover it. Me on the phone with them 8 to 10 hours, 12 hours a day.
Bob.
All the way, now I'm into Apple development. So I'm well past help desk, and I'm into Apple developers, engineering. And they're saying like, we don't know, we're trying everything. And I said, God kept me calm.
I know, this was a miracle.
This was a miracle. And I made the statement to them. I said, you need to realize you have destroyed everything I've created in my life. Do you understand the significance?
And I could hear him in the office. I'm just out here.
And anyway, so 5 days later.
He stayed calm the whole time.
5 days later, we're in the development, and they said, we're so sorry, Mr. Rockwell, we don't think we can bring this back.
And I said, honey, we're going to pray. This is the enemy coming against us. We're going to pray against it, and we're not putting up with this. Yeah. And so we did. We prayed, and then.
So that night, so they said, leave your computer on. We're going to run some things in the background, but we think it's gone. But all we can do, we'll pay you. We'll give you some money. And I said, no. I said, you've lost everything I've created. I said, anyway, and I had some hard copy backups, but it was not everything. I mean, they wiped everything.
And so he was in the office on the phone with them 8 hours a day.
Yeah, for 5 days. Well, on the last day we let it run overnight, and we just were praying. And the next day I go in.
And I said, it's going to come back.
Yeah.
It's all going to come back.
So the next morning I get up early, I go in and I open up my computer, and it's in not shut down, but it's on set time screensaver. And I open it up, and everything is back. I contact Apple. I said, what'd you do? They said, we didn't do anything. And then the lady, this was interesting, development lady, she says,
She actually
said, this is a miracle. Yeah. This can't happen.
I don't know how this happened.
I love it.
Everything came back, and we don't know how. God just did it.
Yeah. So
It was incredible.
That's why we don't.
It was
worry
just
when we have
incredible.
issues. Yeah.
So, and Apple's
Expecting the supernatural. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that was just one instance. It was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the, when you're talking about shalom, people equate that word to peace, which we typically would say absence of conflict. But the biblical shalom is the favor of God, the supernatural life of God, the blessing of God, the wonder and joy and adventure of God. And because of that, and you described it really well, Keri, is you can stay in peace because you're with Him who is peace, and say, well, just like you said, and interesting enough, you brought peace into that situation of it's gonna coming back. Well, it didn't look like it's possible to happen, but God says, I can do it.
Well, I think it blessed Apple, because Apple, rightly so, they would have expected me to be ballistic the whole time. And I'm actually trying to help them.
Right.
I said, guys, come on, have you tried that?
It was amazing.
And
and the symbolism for me is not lost on the fact that when it actually occurred is when no one was touching it.
Yeah.
That the instruction was leave it up through the night, and you went and you prayed and you rested, and it was done when nobody was doing anything except God. And I love that.
Well, I was shocked. Apple was shocked, and that was it.
I wasn't shocked.
Yeah. No, amen. And so you mentioned, Bob, you're getting shalom favor in your business. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing, and what are you experiencing in that?
Oh my gosh! Well, as you guys probably know, I coach executives, and I do it differently. So first off, all of my coaching is at risk. So I tell all my executives every month, you have to receive orders of magnitude more value than what I charge you, or it's free. And I've never not been paid. So that kind of puts the onus on me. But then they start telling other people about it. And hey, can you help me with this? Could you help me develop a strategy for our company? Could you? Hey, I have another executive that I want you to work with. And it's interesting from two standpoints. One is 95% of the time, what I end up coaching people to bears no resemblance as to why they originally hired me.
Yeah, sure.
That's the first one. The second thing that's really interesting is every single person, and most of them are not people of faith. It's also helping them personally in their personal life, and I'm bringing in biblical principles, and they don't know it's biblical principles. They just see it. Wow, this is a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
And you're not a counselor, are you, Bob? No, I'm not. So anyway, so just incredible favor with that. I look forward to it because every session people say, "Wow, this was great," and every executive says, "I wish I had started this sooner." And so it's just been
That's
favor,
fantastic,
and it's fun. It's just fun, and when I'm in a session, I'm just inside praying, Father, I have no wisdom here, but you do. Kind of help me see through the gray. As they bring up issues, Father, help me with this. So I'm just praying, and every single time it's like, wow, where'd that come from? And so I get a lot of executives to say that what you're really doing, Bob, is you're not teaching me stuff as much as you're transforming me. And I said, that's really probably what it is. Anyway, so a lot of favor in the work.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
And right now you've been growing, and your client base has been growing, and starting to really enjoy it. Probably going to get a point where you got to figure out how to not do so much, right?
That's what
the other thing is that I'm working with our friend Joe, just trying to see if I can, help him or be one of the coaches in his group or what have you, because he needs some, he's looking for some good people there too. So we'll see. The Father's got the plan, and we won't let ourselves get overly burdened. So I put a cap as to how much I'll do. And so life and ministry is equally important to work, because quite frankly, if I didn't work, that's okay. I just love it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's an important piece of life, and you're good at it, and that's an exciting thing. And you're good at it because God's given you gifts,
right?
And you keep relying on, well, Father, help me out here, and you don't get arrogant and prideful. So that's going to be, and you'll see transformation of your clients. So we're excited about that. And then as you two have been so faithful in as leaders of Living Waters, is that. And you've been giving it away, and more people have an interest in that. Tell us about that, and particularly because you've actually expanded and given us, the ministry, some great opportunity to understand how to use different formats for that. So talk about, first of all, the joy you get of just seeing people receive, and then how does that work in terms of you being able to give that away?
Yeah, that's kind of fun because really the work of the Holy Spirit is transformation, not just knowledge exchange. And so I would say in our life group, these people have all been transformed. They're all leading abiding lives. But COVID was a gift. It was a gift to the ministry. It was a gift to us because you had to get creative. But we're now doing, if you will, Living Waters retreats 4 different ways.
Yeah.
The first one is just simple. We'll say, people, go onto the Living Waters website and download a course and do it.
Yeah.
And we've got people that are doing that. They just go buy the course and they do it.
Somebody in our life group did that.
Yeah, because they want faster than what we're giving it to them. Have at it, have fun. So that's one. The second one we did is we said during COVID, we said, well, we don't really worry too much about COVID. We'll set up a sanitization station at the you can put with alcohol if you want them. You can wear a mask if you want. Keri and I won't be. So giving you that fair warning, come on over and we'll meet every week. And what we did is that we would have people download the course, for example, Abiding, and they would do a session, one of the videos on their own and do their book. And then we'd come together and we would do the next session as a group.
Yeah.
And interesting.
Review what they did with the first video, and then we do the second one together and discuss that. And we'd meet for about an hour and a half and do it. And then they go away, they do video number 3 on their own, and we do number 4 together. And so that was kind of cool because they got kind of the best of both that way.
To teach them.
Yeah. Then the third way was that we just got together and we actually they wouldn't do any on their own. We would do it all together as a group.
Yeah.
So that was the third way. And then the fourth is the traditional way, if you will. We just all got together. So we would get the workbooks and then we would just open scripture. We didn't use the videos.
Right.
We just did it. And then someday we'll get back to the 5th one, which was the original, where we'll do weekend retreats.
We just did a weekend.
We just did a weekend
in
retreat.
Texas.
In Bowie, Texas. But we're trying to find, we're asking God if he wants us to do more weekend retreats or weekday, to find us a place that has 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms. So because all those got sold during the real estate boom, all the ones that we were using got sold. So we're doing this different ways with different groups. And I got to take it one step further. So now our executive pastor, so we've had several pastors in our church go through Abiding with us, including our executive pastor, who Rich, you met, Jeff and Kathy Boyd.
Yep.
And Jeff has said, Bob, we want you and Keri to do an Abiding retreat for the church staff.
That's not intimidating.
Probably, yeah. And we'll probably do it on a weekly basis at the church on a weekday. So we're really pumped about that. We've got more requests for, hey, if you guys can do weekend or any 2-day retreats, we want to do that. So we've got a backup of those.
And then we have people we're taking through more subjects.
Yeah, we've got a group, a Thursday night group that we're taking through their 5th topic.
And starting September.
And we're either going to do forgiveness and reconciliation, or we're going to do come to the light.
Yep.
We'll
nice. Are you doing those through the video course, or are you just doing those, opening the book up and doing them?
Just get the books.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we get them printed and we go through them. And that way, the reason they like that
because they can ask
is that
questions.
If it takes us 9 weeks, it takes us 9 weeks. If we get it done in 7, it gets done in 7.
Right.
They like that.
Yeah. What's the reason, as you see that, and we're seeing that more and more and more of what we call multiplication. They've learned to abide, but now they want to go deeper. And God's given us so much beautiful content that you can really now kind of dive into, like forgiveness, for example. Let's go deeper into that, or come to the light. What's the difference between light and darkness? And by the way, pretty important to know that these days.
Right.
So what do you see happening that people have a hunger for that I would really want to continue this process, by the way, as a in community, so it's not isolation, and we want to do this together. What do you see going on there that is happening that people actually are hungry to keep going deeper?
For me, two things. One is we've now got so many people that we've taken through at least one or more retreats that they're saying, "Oh my gosh, I've heard about this. I want to do it." And as part of that, we're encouraging people to say, listen, now that you've got the ability to go online and get the videos, you don't have to worry about teaching. Just do it in your house and get 3 or 4 people together and give it away. You guys start. So that's kind of cool. So the first thing I think is just the word of mouth, but more delicate. I think the second thing is that at least in our circles, people are seeing an acceleration to the decay of the world.
Yes.
And so I think there's this, we need a source of hope, and we hear that you guys know what it is. Well, yes,
that's
Jesus.
good.
And so it's like they're seeing people lead different lives as a result of just going through the Living Waters stuff. And as they tell people about this, they say, I need this. And I think people are desperate for it now because there's an awful lot of despair, even in the church.
There's a lot of anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Of what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And I think they just need something to give them hope, like Bob said.
Yeah.
They just look to, I can't do anything, but maybe God can.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's the we've actually, as we try to even communicate that, and you're experiencing it, and that is that what God has given us isn't another interesting thing to learn about. It's actual transformation, and like the things of despair, things of discouragement, things of the heaviness of the world, the burden of the world. Kathy or Keri, you said it. It's anxiety. Is what we have learned, and remember, it has nothing to do with us at all. It's just, well, if you just learn how to follow God, He'll take care of all that. And it really does. I mean, and your lives are a demonstration of that, which is why I'm sure people are coming to you and saying, I heard, by the way, there's a scripture in Zechariah 8 that says people are going to come and say, I heard God's with you. Yeah. I'd like to learn that.
Zechariah
And interesting,
8:13.
they don't come because I heard you have a nice time. It's, I heard God is with you. Could I have that happen to me? And the answer is, yeah, we could. And so it sounds like you guys are having the thrill of your life of giving that away, and there's no end to that possibility. So we're sure.
Well, at least other things. So we're very involved in our church, and I think because two couple things. One is I told our senior pastor, I says, we're not here as consumers. I said the Father has brought us here, and we just want to serve.
Yeah.
We want to serve. And so now I'm one of 2 people in the church that does what they call growth track, which is kind of communication, which is where a whole lot of people come in with all their initial questions. And the other thing is that, and this is that there's a real need in our church, as there is in a lot of churches, to just get people in the Word.
Yeah, in the Word.
And so I've been writing. I've actually done 6 months, probably worth of, I'll call it curriculum, but it's really the same structure as Living Waters. Here's the verses. What's it say? And I've got an awful lot of that done. I'm probably a quarter of what I will probably ultimately create. So that's been fun. And then people just send folks to us. They say, oh, you need to talk to Bob and Keri. Oh, you need to say Bob. Yeah, you just need to talk.
Long and interrupt.
And and we don't know, but our pastors and stuff just send people. Well, you just need to meet Bob and Keri. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. How long have you guys been at that church? I'm curious.
It'll be 5 years in December.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting to me just to watch things that are going on, because we have now been about 2.5 years at the church that we're at now, and it's the same situation. It is good soil. And that's what God keeps saying. He's like, and he even promised us before he ever brought us there, I'm bringing you to a place that is good soil. And then he is just, God's doing his thing, and he's doing the same thing with you guys. And it's just so fun to see, that he is aligning people. I think aligning a lot of the Living Waters teams. We've heard that from Kristen and Scott with where he's brought them to. He is very strategically placing people who have a heart to abide and then to give it to others in places where there's good soil, and it's just going.
Yeah. And I got to coach. I was coach for our senior pastor. He approached me and he says, I'd like you to be my coach for a year.
That's
awesome. I coached him for a year, and so we've got a great relationship that way. There's just a lot of, and that's only part of it. There's just a lot of cool stuff.
You have to say the pastor does a great job of telling everybody to get into the Word, but some people don't know what that means. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah, right.
Into the Word.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're at the end of our time here, so thank you so much for sharing all that good news, and we're excited for your life of the covenant and shalom of you're blessed and you get to experience that like you did with your computer, and just life totally, and the blessing of that. But you're it's together. It's not just to be blessed. It's to blessed to become a blessing and give it away, and you're giving away God, not anything that you really have. So it's such a beautiful thing, and you're a great testament to that. We look forward to having you back. We're going to have actually some of your friends here in the next couple of weeks that will join us and share their story. And Kathy, you'll be able to understand that they're in a sense the spiritual children of Bob and Keri.
That's so cool.
So the ministry's grandchildren, so to speak. So it's pretty exciting stuff. So thank you so much for both of you. Wish you well. Survive that heat down there, and we'll look forward to. We're going to get you up here in September. I know that a little bit of an issue.
Dan and I'll be there too,
drive,
so we'll see you guys there too.
But we just want to see you guys, so we hopefully we can work it out. So love you guys, and Kathy, we'll see you tomorrow for good end times Friday, good times Friday, end times Friday, and we'll pick up with Bob and Keri again, and we'll have them back.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, guys. Love ya. Take care.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Yep. See you soon.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Come and See, your podcast for truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. Send us your questions and comments, and tune in tomorrow for more answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. Remember, God's will is best and none better. His truth brings peace in this world of chaos.